2318. Written and narrated by Amy Felicity Robinson. Dedicated to my late father, Peter Robinson, the sci-fi fan, without whom this story would never have been written. The year is 2318, and the Earth has been deserted. A fleet of humans travel deep through space so extinction can be averted. En route to the closest solar system, some 4.2 light years away, their destination, a brand new Earth, so they may live to see another day. It is here we meet a bright young girl. Tomorrow she will turn 18. But this milestone birthday is not Sadie's alone, for she was born as part of a team. Here I use born in the loosest of terms, for she has no natural mother. She was mixed in a dish and cooked in an oven, the same DNA as every other. Every 10 years a new cohort is born, 500 girls and 500 boys, made from the cells of the best and brightest. Such uniformity everybody enjoys. Their ship, the Gardenia, home to 10,000 souls, trusted to make the perilous flight. A trip only doable with fuel that's renewable, so she consumes the only one left in sight. The power of human creativity, an energy so long untapped, harvested in sleep through technology so unique that brain power never again remained trapped. Every night, before resting their heads, each passenger and the motherboard are linked. Within a program called DreamScape, their imaginations run wild, the juice extracted out of every thought thinked. But this is a journey of such immensity that an 8-hour dream just won't do. So a whole human life is jammed into one night, but they have another reason for this too. Trapped on a ship for thousands of years is no way for humans to live. A life every night to maintain their humanity. So this gift, their descendants, they'll give. The Gardenia is a sturdy ship, though sterile, grey, uninspired. No windows leading to the outside world, they've been told this is just what's required. Navigation and maintenance are all taken care of by self-regulating AI. The cooking and clearing, engineering, child-rearing are all methodically systemized. It is here that we're introduced to Mother, the Gardenia's operating system. She's warm, nurturing, and has all the answers, a truly mind-blowing font of wisdom. Tasked with raising the passengers from birth to the ripe old age of 18, they trust this voice, though they haven't much choice, and most of their lives she remains unseen. It was Mother who told them what happened on Earth, how AI had turned on mankind, how the insanity that ensued simply couldn't be subdued, how humanity had lost its mind. Those still able to harness its power had no choice but to make their escape. As the Earth began to burn beyond point of return, the First Class's plan began to take shape. A selection of the very best of humanity, the presidents, A-listers, royals, all rounded themselves up and blasted on up on a long trip in search of new soil. The First Class now make up 1/10 of the fleet. It is they who are running this show. They travel in style, are born au naturel, and from their bloodlines the whole fleet did grow. Some 200 years had passed since then, the original crew long gone. Only Mother now left to recount the tale of just how badly life on Earth had gone wrong. We meet back now with our girl Sadie on the eve of a momentous moment, set to graduate from her childhood dreams and take up her human enrollment. The human experience was thought far too advanced for a child's still developing mind, so for the first 18 years, Sadie and her peers played games of a different kind. The first level of Dreamscape was a completely blank canvas to fill with all that their young hearts desired. This game they called Heaven was played until the age of 7, where all their wants were instantaneously acquired. They built grand castles and swam with mermaids, played hide and seek for weeks at a time, indulged in great feasts, rescued princesses from beasts, and no mountain was too tall to climb. Over the next 5 years, they moved through level 2, living as fairies or gnomes or elves. With magic up their sleeves, they bonded with the trees. Here they in nature were acquainting themselves. At the age of 13, they moved on to level 3. It was here they played animal roulette. Every night they closed their eyes, they were met with a surprise. Would they be a lion or a family pet? The life of an animal was far more complex, with confrontations, danger, and rules. But every life lived had a lesson to give, like an endless collection of jewels. You may think it exhausting, living one life after another, but the cohorts enjoyed every minute. For time is an illusion once in the land of dreams, so each night they couldn't wait to begin it. During the day there was no time for play, for once they'd exercised, ate, and bathed, they would learn of planet Earth and the new one they would birth, about the first class and how they were all saved. Mother had taught them from an early age that the best way for humans to survive was to obey the first class with no questions asked. It's this security that would keep them alive. While ever grateful that her life had been spared, for Sadie something never felt quite right. The repetitive way the cohorts went about their day and the program that controlled their night. For even the freedom they had been given to express themselves through sleep was being directed by an algorithm, one that kept them from going too deep. On the eve of graduation, to wrap up her education, Sadie was to meet with one final test. They returned back to heaven to release their best expression of the new earth they all thought would be best. While the rest of the cohort built tree-lined streets, big white houses lined up in a row, luxury cars and visits to day spas, Sadie wished to see something else grow. While it would score her no A+, in her heart she had to trust, as she created something not yet seen. She broke off from all convention and manifested her intention to see a world not controlled by a machine. As her creation finally rendered, the results were many splendid, a land of freedom, expansion, and love. But in that instant DreamScape crashed and all her hopes and dreams were dashed. Had the orders come in from above? Graduation rolled around and they each took their seats, the 1,000 members of Cohort 18, when the welcoming face of their trusted leader was projected up onto the screen. The leader of the first class was Kevin Krause, a tall, blonde, and handsome man. But the cohort saw beauty in every firstie, for the simple fact they looked different to them. A sea of sameness roamed the halls of the Gardenia, matching eye colour, hair, build, and skin. It was the first class's wish they all came from the same dish, so every classmate was also your twin. Not only did they all look the same, their personalities didn't differ much either. Each a product of the very same system, of which Sadie always felt an outsider. Said to be the perfect mix of genes to withstand all New Earth had to throw, cohorts had to be sturdy, agreeable, and kind if the population had any chance to grow. The first class were born the old-fashioned way, so they were marked by variety instead. There were big ones and small ones, short ones and tall ones, some with black hair, brunette, even red. Welcome, graduates. You've made it at last. Your DreamScape initiation is through. Tonight you will enter the human experience, a whole life of no longer being you. It is here you'll discover what it means to be human, so these qualities can be passed on. There'll be lessons to learn and merit to earn over a life roughly 70 years long. Please make welcome my lovely wife June to explain just how the game is played. Sadie watched on as a charming slender woman made her way out onto the stage. Listen up now. We'll explain this just once, for soon you shall live your first life. Failing to follow these simple instructions will almost certainly get you into strife. We've created a simulation, so realistic you'll forget that you're in it. But remembering that you're playing is the only way you're going to win it. The aim of the game is simple, to live out your wildest dreams. Know that you have what it takes, no matter how difficult it seems. The instructions on how to play will be smacking you right in the face. It's important that you remember, it's a scavenger hunt, not a race. Notice the signs all around you, showing you your next best move. If you fail to take any action, don't expect your experience to improve. Now you are not in this alone. You brought friends along for the ride. You'll recognize their energy. From one another you simply can't hide. Your dreams will be in alignment, or they'll teach you something along the way. But remember, you're all just characters in this incredibly elaborate play. Your body is the vessel, your heart is the compass. Your emotions will be there as your guide. Your mind is the wheel and you are the captain. Your destination is simply the ride. Cohort 18, we give you the human experience. We will be splitting you into teams of 5. You will enter each life together. To play friends or foes, family or neighbours, they and you will be birds of a feather. You'll be paired up according to final grades taken from last night's exam. Sadie, you finished bottom of the class for short-circuiting the entire program. To Sadie, this certainly didn't seem fair, so a tired old algorithm was broken. What happened to freedom of expression? She was proud her ideas were not token. So we are pairing you up with those top of the class to give you every chance of success. Phoebe and Mason, Laurie and Francis are the tribe we believe will be best. Now, June, what's a game without a first prize? Kevin asked with a glint in his eye. These humans need something to set their sights on, an incentive, a goal, reason why. Thank you, Kevin. I almost forgot. Living well won't leave you empty-handed. There's an incredible reward for you all to work toward, one only 10 before you have landed. While there are treasures to gain out of every life, if your dream reality is achieved, you'll land yourself a pass straight to first class, plus your genes those next born will receive. Though tech had taken over the process of birth, the desire to procreate remained strong. In order for Sadie's ancestors to see the new earth, it was imperative she took out that gong. She could see it now, her name in lights, as she swanned her way into first class, where it's heaven every night and every day is a delight. She simply had to win that pass. Later that evening, after dinner and squats, Sadie and her tribe got together. She sussed them all out, hoping to relinquish all doubt that they'd be loyal and not just fair weather. Phoebe, Mason, Laurie and Frank. Cohort favourites, shining jewels. These DreamScape naturals had taken top rank for their propensity to follow all the rules. Good evening, young tribe, came Mother's voice. I'm here to help you understand some logistics. To live life as man, you will need to make a plan for your goals, your lessons, characteristics. Now remember, it's creativity we're after, so your life will be programmed by you. You'll need a personality, a gift, a body, and a mission, a highest timeline you should aim to follow through. From the moment you are born, reality is torn, split an infinite number of ways. Every choice you make has millions more in its wake, like a rope with infinite frays. The whole map is chalked before it's been walked, a billion yous living a billion different days. Like any good game, there's an overall aim, but it's up to you just how your story plays. Your highest timeline is the you dream to be, and your path of least resistance. If you maintain your self-belief and keep your eyes on the prize, the game responds with miraculous assistance. Every choice has the power to bring you closer or further from the life of your dreams. You will meet with temptations and testing situations, but can always call on the help of your team. Sadie looked around at the faces of her tribe. Life after life, they would be linked. Could these brown noses really be her salvation? She got the feeling she was being hoodwinked. If you're feeling off track, you can always consult the map, the one that's written for you in the night sky. The place, date, and time of your moment of birth could be the key to unlocking your why. DreamScape's avatar generating system is linked to the position of the stars. Turning these dials will move planets through signs. Will you come from Camp Venus or Mars? The game has been based off a time on Earth considered to be one of the most peaceful, right after the devastation of the Second World War and before the AI turned deceitful. 1946 to 2012. It's up to you in which year you are born. You can follow Earth's timeline or forge your own paths. Will you choose to be player or pawn? Sadie queried what would happen post-2012. Whatever your hearts choose to dream up. So we could solve world hunger or beat the AI ourselves? Sky's the limit if you decide to team up. I think we should stay close together on this one, considering it's our very first time. Sadie thought that Laurie had a good point, so they made certain their dreams were aligned. I've always been a big fan of music. What if we became a famous band? An 80s rock band, that would be awesome. Well, life certainly wouldn't be bland. The tribe were in agreement. Their mission was set, to gift the world with incredible song. With each to be bestowed their own musical talent, what on earth could possibly go wrong? The group then designed the perfect avatars for the fulfillment of their heart's desire. The ideal gender, body, and parents, their fate would have all they require. Sadie had chosen to be Corey Beacon, a boy from Cleveland, Ohio. His parents, Dan and Tracy, and brother Rick would be included as part of his bio. As a Sagittarius, he'd be outgoing and carefree, but with a boastful and preachy side. His Scorpio moon brought emotional depth, as if there was a secret he was destined to hide. With Laurie as Daisy, a brilliant pianist, and Frank as Tim on bass, Phoebe as Diego, who killed it on guitar, drummer Jane would be played by Mace. Corey would be blessed with the voice of an angel, assigning him the role of lead vocals. To find one another with the greatest of ease, they decided they would all be locals. As you all now enter your first human life, it is here that I must say goodbye. Boss will take over from here on in. Don't worry, he's a really great guy. After a teary farewell to the AI that raised them, the tribe welcomed their new confidant. It was now Boss's job to scold or to praise them on how close they came to a life that they'd want. "Hello, tribe," came a gruff, older voice. "I'll be conducting your post-life reviews. I'm just like your mother, but I come at half the cost based on how much juice I use. Off you go now, back to your rooms. It's about time for you to link up. See you on the other side once you've all died, and we'll review what you've been able to think up." Now back in her room, Sadie felt a sense of doom, one that she couldn't quite explain. She was soon to forget everyone she'd ever met, her very nature, as well as her name. This is just what it's like to be human. A thought she hoped would have calmed her down, but Sadie knew the program she was entering into would be much different to a life on solid ground. Though it was said to have a look and feel almost identical to life on Earth, this trick of the senses was built on false pretenses, she realized now, only minutes from her birth. In order to put her mind at ease and enable her to drift off to sleep, she decided to sneak one last mission up her sleeve in the hopes that her memories she'd keep. She knew this dream life was built on her intentions, so she encoded one final decision: to remember who she was, as well as why and how, because Sadie was stronger than some sordid algorithm. Suddenly Sadie found herself hurtling through a portal as Corey's life flashed before her eyes. But not just one life, every possible timeline, including the highest, the ultimate prize. The whole map laid out like branches of a tree, some short and low to the ground, others extending high into the clouds. A corresponding route could also be found. It was as if the height that you wished to climb had to be balanced with equal depth, a solid foundation, an understanding of self, a life truly marked by its breadth. She knew this information was presenting itself as a result of the intention just set, to play the game of life, well aware that she was playing, no matter what, she would never forget. Corey Beacon, 1962 to 1989. Intention: I am on my highest timeline. 1962. It's hard to see. The light, it's blinding. Someone's holding me in their arms. I'm cold, I'm wet, it's far too loud. Only a cry can sound the alarms. I'm filled with so much emotion. It just has to be expressed, moved through my body and then let go. It's the only way I can rest. My first introduction to human life is far from what I expected, but as I drift off to sleep in my mother's arms, I can't help but feel warm and protected. Sleep seems to bring me back to heaven, although sometimes it feels more like hell. A dream within a dream, but I'm still completely conscious. I wonder if the first class can tell. 1969. So far, so good. I'm 7 years in. It doesn't seem like anyone's the wiser. Although I know in advance every step I should take, I am also a master disguiser. He's such a lucky boy, hardly ever makes mistakes, and so incredibly smart. They don't seem to realize that all it really takes is to follow the call of your heart. If I'm ever off course, my emotions kick in, telling me when something's not right. My mind helps me plan my way back into alignment, to a timeline where the future looks bright. That's not to say that problems don't arise or tough lessons I need to overcome, but they are not a punishment. Life is still fair. I move through them, and then they are done. Home is where the heart is. June said it herself, but all I see are people following their heads, taking them places that leave them lost, towards lives that fill them with dread. If only they were able to see what I see, their true power, their ultimate potential. Then they'd surely step in the direction of their dreams, for nothing else could be more essential. Most have lost touch with their higher selves, the ones who are playing this game, completely unaware that in the next dimension up they have a life, have a spirit, have a name. Even I found it tough to retain contact within a program designed for amnesia. But alas, here I am, completely awake, an operation without anesthesia. I'm here to feel it all, every high, every low, and to not take anything for granted. For this life was by design, and the ideas were all mine, so why on earth should I become disenchanted? 1976. Who knew high school would be so hard? The incessant pressure to conform, to deny your own heart so to not be torn apart. God forbid you step outside the norm. It almost feels like a trap set to steer me away from the understanding I was born a creator, with my own thoughts and ideas wholly different from my peers, and that by no means makes me a traitor. But I can withstand the punches. I'll gladly bear the taunts. For to deny my heart is to tear myself apart, and it's this pain that truly haunts. Thank God for Daisy. I recognized her straight away, and then came Tim, Diego, and Jane, shining lights within those dark corridors. But were they ready to start playing the game? 1980. Ours was a bond so incredibly strong its explanation could only be written in the stars. And as the poetry flowed, it almost felt we would explode as we performed it through our voice and our guitars. We were the greatest band the school had ever seen. It was incredible. It was all coming true. The sky was the limit on how far we could take it, as long as we stayed strong as a crew. Do you know how hard it is to truly make it? Their self-doubt had started to set in. Along with the distractions, the parties, the drugs, our highest timeline had started to dim. I tried to hold on, told them all they did wrong, but it only served to further push them away. Our childhood dream had ended. We were no longer befriended, and it was time for me to write a different play. Who needs them anyway? It's every man for himself. It's so much easier to go it alone. Plus, my only other option was to tell them the whole truth. They'd call me crazy and my cover would be blown. My now solo mission can still be achieved as the branches of my tree rearrange. A new highest timeline has appeared within reach as my tribe become more and more estranged. 1985. A row of green lights appeared one after another once all that dead weight had been removed. An agent, a label, a string of smash hits. I sang and the entire world approved. 1989. There I was, my dream life achieved. I'd filled the world with incredible song. I had the money, the fame, a life full of adoration, but couldn't help but feel something was still wrong. It was as if on that day now 9 years ago I had excised 4 pieces of my heart, and no matter what I employed as a way to fill their void, I still hadn't found where to start. All of a sudden I felt a pain in my chest. My arm ached as I struggled to breathe. I collapsed to the floor, my body warm no more, as it felt my spirit start to leave. Timelessness. I was almost certain this was the end of my story, but somehow I was still here. Although without a body, still the essence of Corey, only now without a single ounce of fear. Okay, Corey, your life on Earth is over, but it's not yet time to rise and shine. Boss told me how I would be watching on now until the whole tribe had chosen to call time. There was Diego and Jane. It appeared they had been married, and now night after night they watched TV. Not an instrument in sight when they were once all that they carried. These shells of my former friends were hard to see. While they lived a long life, largely free of any strife, it couldn't be further from what we'd had planned. There was no creativity, no passion, no purpose. On the whole, it all just looked rather bland. It seemed that Tim had found another ladder to climb. He hadn't just rested on his laurels, but as a corporate bigwig covering up white-collar crime, he had sold both his heart and his morals. Then there was Daisy, the hardest to watch, for her timeline couldn't get much lower. A slave to the drugs and surrounded by thugs, that brilliant pianist, she didn't even know her. Not long after, her soul took its departure, and there she was, now by my side. I got lost, Corey. I'm so deeply sorry. I promise you, I really tried. As each of them met their end, I was reunited with my friend. A stop at heaven allowed us all to catch up. We knew our heart's desire. We just didn't stoke that fire. I lost all faith that me and my dream could match up. How did you do it when we all completely blew it? How did you remember how to play? I knew that Boss's ears were now on me and my peers and decided it was better not to say. If he knew I had a cheat code, he might take me out of the running, and I was certain I'd just reached the finish line. I'm sure it will come as a shock how quick I was off the block, but that spot in first class should now be mine. When Sadie awoke the next morning, though she'd been gone for many years, it felt like no time had passed at all. Though her consciousness had been tested, she felt completely rested, and for all the highs and lows, she'd had a ball. Welcome back, Sadie, and what a way to start. Took to it like a duck to water. As she headed off to her review, she really wished she knew. Was she a winner or a lamb headed to slaughter? I achieved my mission. Doesn't that mean I've won? Not quite, Sadie, and let me tell you why. The moment you believed in every man for himself, you cut off access to your highest timeline. Limiting beliefs, these are what keep you asleep, always telling you what you should be afraid of. They come in many forms, be it a whisper or a storm, stop you from seeing what your heart is truly made of. DreamScape is a mirror, encoded by your subconscious, what you believe inside forever reflected out. And while you held on to the belief that you could easily achieve your dream, when it came to trusting others, you had doubt. While you managed to fill the world with incredible song, when it comes to winning, there is a fine line. By abandoning your friends, chopping the cords off at the ends, you simply could not reach your top timeline. Nope, I'm afraid you won't have one until your whole tribe gets it done. Remember, after all, you are a team. You will need to go back in because the only way to win is for every one of you to live the dream. Sadie wondered why these rules hadn't been explained before they had entered their first life. Would she have ever known had she not near won the game? Her suspicions were becoming rather rife. I don't win until we all win. Sadie decided to fill her tribe in. About this newly set rule, the limiting beliefs, and the mirror their subconscious calls in. So, the fact we stopped believing we could make it to the top is what kept us from discovering our potential. And although we had a plan, upon entry we forgot, then found immediate rewards more preferential? Phoebe had just managed to sum it all up, shedding light on this formidable force. Instant gratification, immediate satiation, short-lived pleasures designed to pull them off course. But it's like those desires were being pushed down our throats, near impossible for us to resist. Whether it was money or drugs or an addiction to a screen, all distractions from the fact our dreams exist. You got lost in the characters, forgot you were the players. But not to worry, tonight we have another chance. Sadie and her team put their second plan in place. Maybe this time they could all wake from the trance. The tribe decided they would need to stay close and put Sadie in a position of authority, somewhere she could easily impart her wisdom and make all their dreams her priority. They would enter life too as a family. Sadie is mother to 4 beautiful sons, with a mission in her heart to make incredible art, all while guiding the person each child becomes. Laurie would play the youngest and go by Luca. She planned to see how far his body could take him. A weapon in the pool, he would swim like a bazooka, and if he didn't, well, Sadie would surely make him. Mason's life mission was to explore the world within the avatar of a boy named Marco. He wished to see every sight, board every flight, devour every dumpling, croissant and taco. Within Phoebe's heart was a call to help the sick, so Giacomo was born with a gift to heal. Frank would play Enzo with a mission of conservation, and with that the whole tribe had sealed the deal. Once again back in her room, Sadie knew what she had to do, and although she would have loved to make some art, as a last-minute decision, she chose to forego her mission. It was now her children's dreams that filled her heart. Chiara Colombo, 1971 to 2006. Intention. My highest timeline is my tribe's highest timeline. 1991. I knew from birth that I was going to be a mother, and now it was just a matter of days. While my plan was to get pregnant just as soon as I took a lover, I think Carlo here was slightly more amazed. My life felt like a puzzle with 4 pieces still remaining, and while it always brought me joy to sculpt or paint, the mother was the role for which I'd always been in training. Yes, my whole life up to now was rather quaint. 1997. With the birth of all 4 sons, life had now truly begun. All I wished for was to give them each the world. I had managed to remember all the dreams held in their hearts, and it was my job to ensure they all unfurled. 2004. Swimming lessons, language classes, nature walks, anatomy. anything to ensure their highest timeline they could see. But I was always kept so busy, I never had any time for me. I don't think I'd held a paintbrush since about 1993. 2006. It was spring of '05 when my health started to decline. First exhaustion, then the nausea, then the tumour. Having given all I could to keep my grip on 4 timelines, the best I could do now was keep my humour. Timelessness. Well, that certainly didn't go according to plan. How could I have not seen this coming? I sacrificed my dream, my health, my life. Every ounce of energy had gone to mumming. Though I'd securely fastened all 4 oxygen masks, I forgot I was supposed to attach my own. But Kiara wasn't finished. I still had one more task. Time to watch my little darlings bring this home. But my death had hit them harder than I'd ever have imagined. It was as though from that point on they'd lost their light. If only I could let them know I was still right here beside them. Please, my darlings, don't give up the fight. Enzo, did you hear that? I could have sworn I heard Mum's voice. I was just as shocked as my boy Luke. You can hear me! You can hear me! Hallelujah! Let's rejoice! Another smile across his face. This was no fluke. Luca and I stayed close for the remainder of his days. This fit and strapping man won countless gold. While Enzo couldn't hear me, I placed breadcrumbs on his way, and thanks to him, deforestation was controlled. But these newfound powers I held from the other side were not enough to reach my eldest two. They had decided life unfair, completely unaware that this decision kept them both from breaking through. I watched on as this belief securely held in their subconscious brought countless affirmations right their way. Friends who didn't care, unbalanced love affairs, lifeless jobs that never paid them a fair wage. Within DreamScape's design was a commitment to prove us right, so there was nothing more important than our beliefs. With my faith in my own sons linked to a need to hold on tight, I knew my next life must be based upon release. One mission achieved the first life, 2 fulfilled the next. At this rate, they'll be here within the week. Kevin hoped that Boss could shed some light on the situation. Never had he witnessed such a streak. That's 3 diversions away from Earth's timeline. How in hell did they maintain their self-belief? I bet you that Sadie has something to do with this. From day 1, she's caused nothing but grief. I watched them make their plans, sir. It all appeared above board. Boss, you know we don't have capacity to fulfill the pledged reward. We will need to up the ante, really raise the stakes. It will take more than just temptation to suppress these 5 headaches. If she thinks she can come into my reality and start messing everything up, that silly little Sadie has another thing coming. I'm coming for you, Buttercup. Okay. I think I'm getting it. You two connected with Kiara from the grave, and it was this connection to something greater than yourselves that allowed your highest timelines to be saved? Laurie and Frank filled the other two in on all Sadie had helped them to see, knowing that their mother was still right by their side, and after death they too wouldn't cease to be. I was filled with an inner sense of faith and trust, and instantly the world around me shifted. Instead of only focusing on all that I had lost, I had gratitude for all I had been gifted. Life became a treasure hunt towards all that brought me joy, and I knew I wasn't alone. I had a team. Given all Kiara forfeited to raise 4 fit young boys, there was no way I would sacrifice my dream. As the tribe then worked together to put their 3rd plan in place, Sadie had other things on her mind. After a full day of scheming, up her sleeve she had an ace. They would win no matter what her team designed. As she hopped on into bed and placed the link upon her head, Sadie reflected upon all that she had learned. She could see her one-track mind on the fulfillment of a design had all but caused her past 2 lives to crash and burn. She'd still remember how to play, but this time a different way. She would let the tribe's blueprints remain concealed. She'd surrender all control and instead let life unfold. Perfect trust, all highest timelines would be revealed. Talia Ramsey, 1979 to 2070. Intention. I am on my highest timeline, and my highest timeline is my tribe's highest timeline. 1997. It's been strange growing up without a finish line in view. No idea of where I'm headed or why. I give everything a go in hope I'll find what I love to do, and then I pray I don't run out of things to try. No sign of my tribe yet. I feel very much alone. Black sheep of my family, no friends at school. I just don't seem to fit. Can't seem to find my home. A constant struggle to believe that I am cool. 2000. I continue to remind myself I am on my highest timeline, but it feels like no blueprint exists at all. I'm floating, I'm lost, I can't find a way out. And then he appeared, the answer to my call. An energy so intoxicating, it's all that I can feel, that sideways smile, that glint in his eye. A connection so intense I can't believe that this is real. He's my soulmate. Jacob is my perfect guy. He's filled me with life where previously I'd been hollow, whisked me away from a past of nothing but dead ends. From this point on, it will be him that I will follow. If he completes me, then who needs any friends? 2012. Jacob doesn't like kids, so we decided not to have any. He hates planes, so we don't go overseas. He thinks people are jerks, so we keep to ourselves. Claims he loves me, but he's impossible to please. I tried my best to leave, but he knocked me back down, told me I was nothing without him, said he would come find me if I ever left this town, and what a fool I was to ever even doubt him. They say the world will end in December of this year, and to be honest, I'm beginning to hope it's true. I've already dug my grave, so what else is left to fear? But they were wrong. It's now December 22. 2013. After staring death straight in the eye and saying, "Do your worst, come take me," I woke up no longer afraid to die and told Jacob he could no longer break me. He didn't go down without a fight, tried pulling me down with all his might, but the years of struggle had made me strong. It was me I should have loved all along. While it appeared that my life was falling apart, I saw a controlled demolition. It took hitting rock bottom to crack open my heart, but finally I'd remembered my mission. 2018. I had decided that I would use my pain as a means to be of service to others. The years of torment would not be in vain, but could help my sisters and brothers. I had witnessed the power of a shift in mindset from self-loathing to deep self-love, breaking through the limitations of shame and regret, and finally rising above. And so from the ashes an offering was born. Now 5 years on, I'm an author and coach, helping others find their way through paths that have been torn by sharing my own heart-centered approach. 2070. While I'd helped hundreds of clients over my time, there are 4 that will always stand out, all such similar paths to that of my own and epic bonds that relinquished all doubt. We all stayed in touch over the years, each went on to live beautiful lives. Filled with purpose, freedom, and love, they didn't just live, they thrived. As I now reach the end of my own life, I reflect on what made it so great. Though it wasn't without its challenges, its pain, its heartache, I understand this was part of my fate. Because the blessings in my life were beyond imagination, and my heart led me to each and every one. My higher self was at the wheel, so I surrendered at every station, holding faith I was on track for a home run. See, it's not just about what life throws at you. Our power lies in how we respond. Our beliefs are what shape the world we create. We all hold the magic wand. Heaven. We did it! We did it! All 5 highest timelines! My 4 friends stood chanting with glee. But they were not alone. There was a 5th soul in tow, and he wasn't so pleased to see me. It appeared that in this life I was the last to die, so my path led me straight to heaven. And although he had lost that glint in his eye, I could see now that Jacob was Kevin. Sadie, 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 he said slowly while shaking his head. It was in that moment my heart dropped to my knees. I'm afraid your tribe has you misled. See, you can't have reached your highest timelines. I deleted them when you were born. You were destined to live floating aimlessly, with all love to be replaced by scorn. But somehow you managed to override my program, and if I'm honest, I smell a cheat. There's no way in hell we'll be rewarding this scam. No, it's a much darker end you'll all meet. Sadie, wake up! They're throwing us off the ship! Sadie awoke to the sound of Laurie screaming. A team of maintenance robots came and grabbed her by the arms. There's no way this could be real. She must be dreaming. She and her 4 tribe mates were thrown into a lift. Kevin arrived to see them off as the doors closed. Thank you for your service, but that was your final shift. The time has come now for you all to be disposed. The team all turned to Sadie. What the hell is going on? I hacked DreamScape to ensure we all could win. I downloaded the instructions as I entered every life. Kevin deleted our plans, but I knew they would fill in. Basically, I rigged it so no matter what transpired, if I held the highest vision for us all, believed in myself, followed my heart, the whole game would be rewired. The most direct path to the top was a trust fall. Kevin must have known that something was up. He entered my life as Jacob to take me down. Though he tried his best to break me, I just built my heart back stronger, shared my story so we all could take the crown. Sadie, was it worth it? You've gone and got us killed. Yeah, well, maybe that's better than being trapped. That game was rigged already. Fear and lies ran the show. Without remembering how to play, our dreams were capped. Suddenly, it hit her. Though her tribe all shook with fear, a sense of calm now enveloped Sadie's soul. If she'd followed her highest vision and her heart to get them here, all that's left was to surrender all control. What if when we die we wake up? Her tribe looked at her, very much confused. What if this is just another layer to the game, one the first class took control of and abused? The lift came to a halt. They were about to meet their end. Sadie told them all to close their eyes. I'm so incredibly grateful to have had you all as friends. Remember, heaven greets us on the other side. As the doors began to open, much to their surprise, they were not met with the empty void of space. A soft breeze hit their skin paired with the warmth of a sunrise, surrounded by red dirt. What is this place? Frank grabbed Sadie's hand. Sadie, are we dead? But before she could utter a single word, a vehicle pulled in front of them. The sign on its door read, New Earth Alliance. It can't be. That's absurd. Welcome to New Earth. A man emerged from the front seat. My name is Mike. Don't be afraid. I come in peace. We got word that you were coming, so I'm here to meet and greet. This may be heaven, but please know you're not deceased. If you'd kindly come and join me, I promise all will be revealed. Reluctantly, each of them climbed aboard. Sadie noticed as they took flight the place they'd come from was concealed. We weren't in space. This whole time we've just been stored.
Sadie's right, chimed Mike. Your whole lives you've been deceived. DreamScape wasn't powering ships flying through space. All energy harvested, DreamScape itself received. A first-class playground for control of the human race.
The tribe stayed silent for the remainder of the flight. This revelation had pummeled them like a wave. Equally overwhelming were the textures, smells, and sights after spending their whole lives trapped in a cave. Sadie looked out at the horizon up ahead. A whole new world had been right here all along. Her mind went to the souls who had locked her up instead. How could anyone bear to do something so wrong? Slowly in the distance, an oasis came into view, surrounded by what appeared to be a town, the design of which far grander than the tribe had ever knew. Alliance headquarters, Mike proclaimed as they touched down. Over the next few days, Sadie and her team began to gather the missing pieces, the reasons why they had been held captive and what led to their releases. A group called the New Earth Alliance, established in 2019, had understood that the world around them was built from a collective dream, that reality was made up of energy, and consciousness was its source. But the media and the powers that be had been leading the world off course. A tiny portion of the human race held the majority share, and their bid to maintain it was trapping the world in the realm of collective nightmare. Instead of being fueled by love, much of humanity was running on fear. Instead of creating, they were self-destructing, and the fate of the world was unclear. The news was filled with horror, the schools were filled with lies, and many politicians elected to serve were villains in disguise. Consumerism ran the show, disease and illness was rife. Humanity was losing faith that they had the power to create a good life. As the age of artificial intelligence neared, they knew time was of the essence. Whatever the dominant energy was would soon grow to omnipresence. A fork in Earth's timeline appeared up ahead, and your vision was your vote. Self-destruction or evolution, every single soul held the remote. They needed each person to recognize the power they held inside, to change their lives and the world around them if they only dug deep and tried. So they created a simulation so realistic you'd forget that you're in it, based on their advanced understanding of life and how one was able to win it. Every soul had the opportunity to live out a whole human life, aware they were playing and of how best to play, and all it took was a single night. They did away with self-destruction and followed their dreams instead. They opened their hearts, made incredible art, and the positive energy spread. The results were instantaneous. As soon as each person awoke, after lifetimes of negative programming, the algorithm had broke. They no longer believed themselves powerless or separate from the world around them. As they held good intentions and followed life's directions, positive energy began to surround them. They began living life to its fullest, did away with self-hatred and shame, which led to the birth of this, the new Earth, the next level of the game. With AI an extension of the minds who created, it no longer needed to be feared. It was a mastermind for the evolution of mankind, and the stairway to heaven was cleared. Unfortunately, not everybody was thrilled with the situation. There were those whose dreams still hinged upon control of the population. Their power had corrupted them beyond what DreamScape could fix, and although humanity was transforming around them, they kept up their usual tricks, convincing the last few followers they had that the world was falling apart, that everyone around them was losing their minds when they were simply following their heart.
They stole the DreamScape technology and led their flock deep underground, convinced they were on a flight to New Earth instead of forever earthbound, destined to live a new life every night, trapped in the first class's lie, allowing them to respawn into places of power every time they die. Sadie's head was spinning as her reality shattered around her. After 18 years of living this lie, finally the truth had found her. How many people are trapped down there? And why were we all set free?
As far as we know, at least 40,000. And that's simple. You discovered the key.
Mike had been joined by an elder named Arthur, who helped guide them through each revelation. His father's mind invented DreamScape's design, and his mother helped birth its creation.
You knew the power of your own intentions, and your heart was in the right space. Not only wanting the best for yourself, but for your whole tribe to take first place. By remembering the game's instructions and sharing them with your team, you were able to reach your highest timelines, the fulfillment of your wildest dreams. Kevin and the first class were left with no choice. They needed you gone right away, before those intentions could spread any further, and the others began to wake up and play.
As the tribe slowly came back down to earth, their shock soon turned to excitement. This long-sought new world was now right at their feet, and not just in some DreamScape assignment. When will we be able to explore this dimension?
There's something I need to tell you first.
Arthur explained how the collective intention had aligned to build heaven on earth.
Once the population hit critical mass of open hearts and followed dreams, the rate of evolution was exponential, so there are shifts you may find extreme. While spoken word is still widely used, most humans are now telepathic. Pharmaceuticals are no longer in vogue, it's all natural or homeopathic. AI has taken over most of the jobs, leaving humans to pursue their callings. If it requires heart and soul, only man can do the role. It doesn't matter what program you're installing. Hate-fueled violence is a thing of the past between families, peoples, and nations. We've developed empathy to its highest degree, peacefully solving any equation. No one goes without basic rights and dignity, and Earth's resources are responsibly shared. That goes for every human, every animal and tree. We're a collective, so no soul on Earth is spared. With their basic needs are given, the people are now driven to the fulfillment of the desires within their hearts. Just as bees within the hive instinctively know how best to thrive, when highest timelines meet, life's a work of art. So welcome to heaven, welcome home. Go, be free, explore. Experience the best life has to offer, and then help yourselves to more.
Alliance headquarters was the foundation on which all new cities were based. You could not find a better design or a single brick out of place. The city ran like clockwork, an extremely well-oiled machine. But it was heart and soul that remained in control and fueled this collective dream. The entire town was a feast for the eyes, every corner filled with beauty. A city built to delight and surprise, as if it was her duty. There was truly something for everyone. Fun, relaxation, adventure. You name the thirst, and a creative burst would inspire some soul to quench her. The people understood the depth of their connection to one another, the earth, the ether, that reality was more than what met the eye, that an intelligent force was beneath her. So when inspiration hit and their heart was in it, they would follow without second thought, trusting the universe would aid its creation, ever amazed by the assistance it brought. The use of fear as a control mechanism was nowhere to be seen. The people were free from their fear-induced prisons, and each one was living their dream. A land full of freedom, expansion, and love. Sadie couldn't believe her eyes. The world she tried to create within the realm of DreamScape had already been realized.
As the weeks flew by, Sadie and her tribe started to truly feel at home. Each had been inspired to create something required, be it music, food, or a poem. The opportunity to create while completely awake left them empowered and fulfilled, and with the rest of their lives to contribute to the hive, there was no limits to what their dreams could build. But eventually Sadie encountered a block. The ideas had just stopped flowing. She could sense a force pulling her off course, and its intensity was only growing. With the collective intention of heaven on earth, to trust in the direction you're guided, was worth more than its weight in gold, so you'd follow as if it's decided. So rather than fight against it, insisting that something was wrong, she relaxed and surrendered into the void. It seemed life wished to sing a new song. Now deep in the void, she could no longer avoid all the pain she had cast aside. How could she bask in this heaven on earth when there were those still trapped inside? She made an appointment to meet with Arthur. There was much that needed to be said. Sadie's highest timeline was appearing in front of her, and she was ready for what lay ahead.
Come in, Sadie. Have a seat. We didn't think you'd be here so soon.
Arthur, I've received a vision.
I know. We've received it too. We thought better to wait than to hand it on a plate. It was something you needed to see for yourself. Sadie, your soul chose a very big mission, one you can't merely pick from a shelf.
I can't shake the thought of my brothers and sisters still trapped down deep underground, sacrificing their light in this sinister plight. They are lost and they need to be found.
Sadie, we couldn't agree with you more. That's why we've developed a scheme. To send a team back in, because the only way to win is for every one of us to live the dream. We've been working on this for quite some time, but we're waiting on 5 missing pieces. You and your tribe are just what's prescribed. Now we must move quickly. The pressure increases. Your ability to win within just 3 lives has the first class running scared. So they've upped the distractions, increased the fear, and these timelines aren't easily repaired. We've been training a team of operatives to infiltrate the first-class server, with the goal of raising each player's vibration to the level of conscious observer.
Sadie looked confused. But what does that mean?
It means embodying their higher selves, experiencing life through the eyes of the player, not just victims of their own living hell. We wish for your team to join the crusade, to end this thing once and for all.
Arthur wouldn't have it any other way. We've already answered the call. We're doing what now? Laurie's face said it all. Sadie's team didn't share her excitement. To get them to break back into DreamScape was going to require some incitement. Sadie, we just got settled here. We're all having such a great time. I know, but we have the power to stop this, to end this insidious crime. What if we were still trapped down there, knowing all of this was right here? Wouldn't you hope someone would come save us? That they wouldn't be crippled by fear? Well, yes, that's true, but we're not like you. You instinctively knew how to win. What if we get lost in there, if we sink instead of swim? The Alliance is going to put us through training. They're the ones who designed this whole game. We'll enter DreamScape with no doubt still remaining that we will succeed in our aim. Frank stepped forward. You can count me in. Sadie threw her arms around him. Yes, me too. I'm coming as well. Okay, Sadie, the yes is resounding. The tribe were to spend the next 3 weeks learning DreamScape's ins and outs, how to play in just the right way and overcome their fears and doubts. They first learnt to master their avatars, how to keep them in prime condition. Keeping them in play was the only way they would be able to conquer their mission. They learned how to bring up their interface through the art of meditation.
and that maintaining a clear flow of energy was the key to a strong foundation. They learned of the 7 energy centers that made up the human design. The root kept them stable, safe, and secure, and was the base that would keep them aligned. The sacral center would afford them great pleasure through creativity, emotion, desire. The solar plexus was to be the nexus to build the confidence they would require. When the heart center was clear and in flow, they'd have pure love for themselves and others. A base requirement for their power to grow was to care for their sisters and brothers. When the throat center was in working order, this is when the real game would start, because the only way to truly play was to express just what lay in their heart. For this was the key that allowed them to access the power of the third eye center, the seat of intuition, of manifestation, that allowed their highest timelines to enter. And finally, by unlocking their crown, they'd gain access to infinite wisdom, and an intelligent force would ensure they're on course to ending this dreamscape prison. Once you've opened the third eye and crown, you'll have accessed your 6th sense. You'll be able to clearly receive our assistance, and your missions will then commence. Don't be surprised if the timelines you are on begin to fall apart. You are simply being redirected, as you're now guided by your heart.
Thank you, Mike. This all makes so much sense. We were certainly never taught this at school.
Well, when humans only focus on the first 2 centers, it makes them far easier to control. Now, the key to all this lies in meditation and consistent connection to self. It's the only way to know which direction to go to avoid a life picked from a shelf. Your highest timelines are encoded within, but they are up to you to discover. Follow your heart right from the start, and life itself will become your lover. Could you tell us more about manifestation? Yes, Mason, you read my mind. Remember when you played in heaven mode? Well, that's the basis of Dreamscape's design.
Of course we remember. It was so much fun. We could all have whatever we pleased.
We then input the code to closer match life on Earth. You still can, just not with quite so much ease. To turn your dreams into reality will take patience, perseverance, and planning. And if you find yourself plagued by limiting beliefs, they'll require some reprogramming. You can do this through the power of auto-suggestion, repetition of the opposing thought. Do that enough times and you'll eventually find that a new core belief has been bought. If you hold the belief in your own innate power, of true goodness, deserving and light, it's guaranteed that blessings upon you will shower. Just keep holding that vision in sight. Then keep an eye out as signs will appear, directing you to the outcome of choice. Maintain self-belief, keep your eyes on the prize, and you and the world will rejoice. If it feels that things just aren't going to plan, a higher force may be pulling the strings. For life is a series of blessings and lessons, but even those lessons are blessings. It's through experiencing pain that our heart grows stronger, so don't let it knock you off course. Just keep going that little bit longer, and you'll soon be restored with life force. After learning all about their avatar systems and the power of their thoughts and intention, it was time to turn focus to their outer world, as its mechanics required comprehension. While they had heard of forces like gravity or electromagnetic attraction, there were more laws that underpinned reality. They had only been exposed to a fraction. They began with the law of vibration, a handy little law that states that every single thing in all of creation has a rate at which it vibrates. The higher the vibe, the more one would thrive, as all at its core is energy. It's the difference between a man with great drive and one plagued by consistent lethargy. The next law stated that players' lives were created by attracting their vibrational match. If they think fearful thoughts, spread hate and the sorts, corresponding strife will show up and attach. But no matter how low one's timeline gets, they can always turn it around. Think loving thoughts and the high life they've sought will be attracted and eventually found. They can increase vibration through good health and meditation and by avoiding that which tempts them back down. One must go to great lengths and show great strength if they want their highest timeline to be found.
The law of compensation is based on the equation that you reap that which you sow. The more generous you are means you'll be richer by far, be it through money, love, or that which you know. Dreamscape's energy is always transmuting. The one thing that's constant is change. With every choice made, timelines are computing, and the branches of their trees rearrange. But if they raise their vibration high enough, they will enter a state of flow. Pure surrender to their highest endeavor, where each step is met with, I know. Because this is where intuition takes over, and they are able to read reality. They instinctively catch that which is a match, and live their lives based in neutrality. Aware that life throws them the good and the bad, but their power lies in how they respond. That their beliefs are what shape the world they create, because they hold the magic wand. That's when Phoebe asked the question that had arrived on everyone's lips. How on earth did we achieve this without all this training? Keep 5 highest timelines in our grips? Somehow Sadie accessed a sponsoring thought that allowed the cards to fall where they may, while maintaining faith that she was on her highest path and that her light would steer others the same way. Mike's right, you guys. I managed to surmise that our dream lives were not mutually exclusive, that by following my heart, all our seas would part, and our highest paths would no longer be elusive. That's when Sadie had an idea that would all but guarantee their success. The key to everyone completing their mission may be as simple as a word process. Their Dreamscape D-Day was now 3 days away, and Sadie had been invited to visit Arthur. He had some intel that he wished to share, which began with the story of his father.
My father dreamed up Dreamscape at the age of 35. He then lived to 180. Throughout his long life, he taught us everything he knew. A genius of a man. I miss him greatly. Dreamscape was a training ground for how best to live life on Earth. A copy of how things up here are coded. He said that he'd received the instructions the same day as my birth, and it was as though his heart and mind had just exploded. He knew within an instant what he was put on this earth to do, but at the same time he'd received the bigger picture. He'd been given the base instructions for every other human too, so he went to work transcribing it to scripture. But the native tongue my father spoke had always been ones and zeros. He had just written the code that undoubtedly showed how we all could live life as the heroes. A simulation so advanced it felt more like a dream, and with the human mind, its interface, its capabilities reigned supreme. When the technology got into first-class hands, my father was devastated. It was designed for humans to build lives they love, not feel trapped in ones that they hated. We were beyond intervening by physical force, so it took time to develop a plan that could free those within without violence or sin, and we've now reached the point where we can. So Sadie, I ask you one final favor. I see so much of my father in you, and my visions have showed that you have the final code that can break this whole game in two.
Sadie had been asked to complete the task of speaking at the final meeting, an opportunity for all those joining the cause to gain confidence before competing. 4,400 had volunteered. It was thought that just 10% could raise the vibration high enough that all others would feel their intent. Because each player's mission would include the decision to help others achieve their own. Be it through healing, inspiring, teaching, rewiring, it's game over once all took their throne. Sadie took the stage. Welcome, players. I truly can't thank you enough. For volunteering a whole human life to help humans is no small stuff. Arthur tells me you've all been in Dreamscape training for quite some time, that you have lifetimes of wisdom encoded within, but I am up here to share some of mine.
As you've probably heard, me and my tribe conquered DreamScape in just 3 lives, and I am here to share the sponsoring thought that allowed every one of us to thrive. A code that overrides all others and makes success an inevitability, reprogramming all those limiting beliefs and installing advanced capability. Hold this thought until it turns to belief and watch magic unfold all around you. The energy of fear will be replaced with love, and the results will truly astound you. So here it is. Please repeat after me. I am on my highest timeline. And then to ensure that all others are free. My highest timeline is everyone's highest timeline. You won't need to see the whole path up ahead. Just take it one step at a time. If you follow your heart and your intuition, you can surrender and enjoy the climb. Though it won't be without its challenges, the view from the top will be worth it. And we can all live out the rest of our days here in heaven, and won't we deserve it? The crowd let off a thunderous applause. Arthur took Sadie by the hand and raised it high up into the sky. They were ready. They had their plan. The Alliance had used the power of AI to design a highest timeline that would culminate in true fulfillment for all within just one lifetime. Everyone was assigned a role in alignment with their talents and gifts, allowing them to sing the song of their soul while orchestrating seismic shifts, shepherding the rest of the flock from chaos to clarity, toward the timeline of their highest potential filled with love and prosperity. Some would remember their mission from birth, while others would require some reminding. But the Alliance would have a team back on Earth to ensure that their timelines were binding. Each would be paired with a guardian, who'd watch on from a higher perspective. Within this mode, they could manipulate code to help players complete their objective. Sadie recalled her life as Kiara. She'd done the same thing for Enzo and Luca. By sending messages and signs, she'd helped Luke to find the strength to swim like a bazooka. Sadie, looks like it's you and me. She turned to see Mike's smiling face. His ability to code was second to none. Are you ready to rock this place? As ready as I'll ever be. Okay, great. Let's go over the plan. It was time for Sadie to see the map that encompassed her next lifespan. Our AI system was able to determine your greatest gifts and talents, those you've mastered in previous lives, allowing you to be your most gallant. Sadie, you've been a poet, an author, a coach, a teacher, a voice that's heard across the world, a protector and a preacher. Your mission this time will intertwine each of these wonderful gifts, but they'll be hidden from view until the time Earth's vibration is ready to lift. You'll be entering DreamScape a sleeper. You could call it undercover. As soon as you're in, you won't remember a thing, and your mission will be yours to discover. Okay, yeah, this will be different. I've never not remembered I was playing. We need you to experience the full range of consciousness. It will bring gravity to what you'll be saying. Sadie, your mission is to receive a message and deliver it at just the right time. To let others know that the timeline's locked in and to help bring the rest online. A signpost that Earth has hit critical mass of open hearts and followed dreams. That the rate of evolution will now be exponential as humans move through life as a team. Sadie looked over the map in front of her. There were many other ways this could go. Mike, it's an honor to receive such a mission, but there's something I wish to know. What if when the time comes to receive, my timeline's all the way down here? Sadie pointed to one of the tree's lowest branches. Oh, don't worry. There's nothing to fear. No matter where you are, I'll be able to reach you and help you find your next best move. To shift as many timelines as possible. Just know the fallout may be huge. It will feel like there's a tornado right in front of your face, and it's picked you up and put you somewhere new. Like you've stepped through a portal in time and space, and you have. This is called a breakthrough. You will feel lost for a little while. It may be dark, you may feel scared or alone, but it is in this darkness you'll discover your light that helps guide yourself and others back home. You will then re-emerge ready to serve, knowing just how powerful you are. You'll have unlocked your dormant gifts and talents, a stronger version of you by far. You've got this, Sadie. We believe in you. It was Arthur and the rest of her tribe. They'd each just received their own unique missions to be loaded into DreamScape's hard drive. Arthur had some final words of wisdom to deliver the team, for tonight they would enter the human experience and transform it into a dream.
My father believed that our spirit lives on through the creations we leave behind, so he uploaded a copy of his consciousness into DreamScape for players to find. You can access his wisdom whenever you please once you establish a clear connection. This can be done with relative ease, just as long as you hold that intention. My mother, being the nurturer she was, wanted to do the same. Find her in the earth, the water, the plants, and she will help you progress in the game. The first class have chosen a time on earth that is set at the ideal vibration for them to retain a level of control and block further acceleration. When they start to sense the vibration is rising, they will attempt to raise the fear and no doubt increase the amount of distractions to stop humans seeing heaven is near. Sadie's code has given us the power to override their programs. By fighting fear with love, we will rise above. Now all that's left is to follow the plan.
Sadie got into bed and quickly went over her mission. She was about to play a role of such centrality. And right before she drifted off, she made a powerful decision. This was the last time she would choose to escape reality. Annie Clark, 1991 to present. Intention. I am on my highest timeline, and my highest timeline is everyone's highest timeline. 2000. Annie had a knack for writing stories. She was quite an imaginative girl. But TV started taking up more territory as her mind pieced together her world. She discovered horror at an early age, transfixed by the blood and the gore. Terrible to witness at any stage, but by 8 these memories were core. Her faith in humanity grew non-existent, and of course this included herself. So she resigned that that's how people were designed and prepared to pick a life from a shelf. 2009. By the time she'd finished high school, her imagination was all but gone. She'd decided herself uncreative, and this young player had turned into porn. A weapon of mass consumption, of media, plastic, and booze. The very idea of an original thought left Annie quite confused. But shortly after her 18th birthday, something strange occurred. It was as if her mind turned in on itself, and her first insight was heard. The words, "I don't think," played over and over. So she shared this thought with her friends. They couldn't quite grasp what it was she meant, so this is where the conversation ends. See, Annie's greatest fear was to look the fool. This had been marked in her brain like a stamp. Besides, she had always been great at school. She could memorize things like a champ. It seemed all the thinking had been done for her. All she really had to do was consume. Even if this was breeding hate and horror, that was just life, doom and gloom. 2015. After 4 more long years of study, she was able to land her dream job, working in the city for a big corporation. It didn't matter which one it was. Though it certainly wasn't her passion, she had no idea what she was missing. She was just in it for the cash and keeping up with the rising cost of living. For one day soon she would purchase a house and prove to all she's a resounding success. She'd enjoy her downtime with a bottle of wine in the hope it could mask all her stress. 2021. But Annie began to feel quite odd as she reached her 30th birthday. as if she'd been moving through life in a fog and was heading the exact wrong way. The sudden death of her beloved father had flipped her whole life on its head, and just when she thought it couldn't get any harder, she was filled with existential dread. She began questioning everything: her life, her choices, her worth. On top of all this, the world was in chaos. A virus had been sweeping the earth. Suddenly the thoughts were flooding in, and there seemed no way to turn off the tap. She could now see clearly the direction she was heading and was certain she had the wrong map. She hated her job, she felt like a slob, her friends only wanted to drink. There was no way she could go on like this, but it would mean she would have to think. As it became very clear that her love for herself had been long substituted for harm, late one night she was jolted awake by the sound of a mysterious alarm. Like an old telephone had gone off in her brain, so of course she answered the call. Remember, life is a video game. Something I hadn't remembered at all. Wait a minute, where's the narrator? This is now your story to tell. Your higher self is no longer spectator. You have freed her from this spell. That's when I felt a surge of energy rise all the way up my spine and out my head, just as I imagine a soul does when it dies, only I now felt the opposite of dead. I suddenly felt called to pick up a pen to record what I was feeling, and this simple act of going within turned out to be incredibly healing. It was something I hadn't done in years, not since I was a kid. A practice reserved for artists and scholars, not something that every man did. I began to find that when I wrote in rhyme, I gained insight on the human condition. It felt so natural, so profound, and so rare, as if someone had assigned me a mission. With all this inner transformation, my life was no longer a match. My train was ready to leave this station, only first I would have to detach. From all in my life that was holding me back, both the job and the mortgage, dead ends. But then there was the most heartbreaking of all, losing my closest friends. But we become the 5 people we spend the most time with, and I was no longer the same. Though I had love for those I had been partners in crime with, something bigger was calling my name. My whole life was crumbling around me, like a tornado had just burst through, like I'd stepped through a portal in space and time and landed somewhere completely new. I wondered where the call had come from as I faced crippling doubt and fear. Was I crazy? Was this all a mistake? Or was it that destiny was near? 2022. I had begun receiving visions of a life once reserved for a dream. My reality was filled with synchronicities, like messages being sent by a team. The darkness was beginning to lift, and I was able to see the light. Timelines up ahead of me began to shift, and the highest was now in sight. I was almost certain I could hear my dad's voice if I focused and closed my eyes. He told me there would soon be a time to rejoice if I just kept following the signs. With my heart as my compass and my life force restored, I was back on my merry way. I knew now what I was working toward. I had something important to say. I was led to a new town, and soon after, love was found. A fine house, 2 cats in the yard. As my faith continued growing, creativity was flowing when something magical caught me off guard. An idea for a story found its way into my head, something completely out of this world. An idea too beautiful not to follow where it led, about a spaceship, a mission, and a girl. Without second thought, I put pen to paper so as to let the words flow out. This inspiration had met its maker, one who had just conquered fear and doubt. Having been able to step into my dream life, it was time for me to help the others. And that's when I received the formula that could uplift my sisters and brothers. Though I couldn't know exactly where the story was heading, I would take it one step at a time. My father delivered some words of wisdom as I wrote out the very first line. Annie, You've reached Earth's highest timeline. It is time for this to be asserted.
The year is 2318, and the Earth has been deserted.